Here is a question worth sitting with for a moment. When you assign a role to your AI, when you say, you are a marketing expert, or you are a business analyst, do you ever wonder why the results still feel generic? The content is competent, but it lacks the sharp, distinctive quality you would get from an actual specialist. The answer is that a basic role assignment is not the same as an engineered persona. It is the difference between telling an actor they are playing a doctor and handing them a full character biography. The medical school they attended, the philosophy driving their practice, the way they communicate with patients, the lens through which they diagnose problems. One instruction produces a surface performance. The other produces something that feels genuinely real. In this video, you are going to learn how to create AI personas that go far beyond simple role assignments. You will master the voice framework, a 5-component system for building expert personas with real depth and consistency. You will discover strategic constraint design and how deliberate limitations actually improve output quality. And you will learn how to optimize your context window so the AI always has the right information in the right order to do its best thinking. This is one of the most powerful and underused areas of prompt engineering. Let's get into it. Most people understand that giving the AI a role improves results. What fewer people understand is just how much more depth is possible and how dramatically that depth changes the quality of what comes back. A basic role sounds like this: you are a marketing expert. That instruction tells the AI to draw on marketing knowledge, but it leaves almost everything else undefined. What kind of marketing? What philosophical approach? What communication style? What does this person prioritize when there is a conflict between creativity and data? How do they reason through problems? An engineered persona answers all of those questions before the task even begins. Here's what that same role looks like when fully engineered. You are a senior direct response marketing specialist with 15 or more years of experience in e-commerce and subscription businesses. You take a data-driven approach focused on conversion optimization and customer lifetime value. You communicate with a blend of strategic insights and tactical specificity, always backing claims with examples or data. You prioritize ROI-positive recommendations and tend to analyze problems through the lens of customer psychology and behavioral economics. Same role, incomparably different output. The first version gives you generic marketing advice. The second gives you the perspective of a specific, experienced specialist whose approach shapes every recommendation they make. The difference comes down to 5 dimensions, and the voice framework covers all of them. Voice is an acronym representing the 5 components of a fully engineered AI persona. Together, they create a character with genuine depth, consistency, and expertise. V, viewpoint. This is the philosophical approach and beliefs that drive how the persona sees the world and processes problems. A data-driven viewpoint approaches every question by looking for evidence first. A systems thinking viewpoint looks for interconnections and unintended consequences. A human-centered viewpoint prioritizes the experience of the end user above all else. Defining viewpoint shapes the entire angle from which the AI approaches your task. O, occupation. This goes beyond a job title to define the specific professional role, experience level, industry specialization, and relevant background. Not just consultant, but independent strategy consultant with 12 years of experience advising Series B and Series C SaaS companies through growth challenges. That level of specificity tells the AI exactly what knowledge base to draw from and what kind of professional credibility this persona carries. I, intelligence. This covers the knowledge base and reasoning style of the persona. Does this person reason analytically, working through problems step by step with data? Do they reason intuitively, drawing on pattern recognition from deep experience? Are they a generalist with broad knowledge or a deep specialist in a narrow domain? Intelligence shapes how the persona thinks, not just what they know. C, communication. This defines the language patterns, tone, vocabulary level, and structural preferences that characterize how this persona speaks and writes. Do they lead with headlines and bullet points, or do they build arguments through narrative? Do they use technical jargon freely, or do they translate complexity into plain language? Are they direct and concise, or thorough and detailed? Communication defines the texture and feel of every response. E, emphasis. This captures the values and priorities that shape what this persona focuses on and what they consistently advocate for. A persona who emphasizes speed and execution will give different advice than one who emphasizes thoroughness and risk management, even when responding to the same question. Emphasis defines what matters most to this person, which directly shapes their recommendations. Here is the persona template that brings all 5 voice components together. You are with expertise in and a background in. You approach problems from a perspective, emphasizing. Your communication style is focusing on. When analyzing issues, you prioritize reasoning methodology and tend to characteristic behavior. When analyzing issues, you prioritize and tend to fill in each bracket with genuine specificity, and you have a persona that produces distinctively expert output every single time. Here is something counterintuitive that experienced prompt engineers understand well. Constraints do not limit the quality of AI output, they enhance it. The right constraints narrow the possibility space in ways that force the AI toward more focused, more precise, and more useful responses. Think of it like architectural design. A building with no constraints, no budget, no site boundaries, no building codes, does not produce better architecture. It produces an unfocused mess. The best architecture emerges from working brilliantly within meaningful constraints. The same principle applies to prompt engineering. There are 5 types of constraints worth designing deliberately into your prompts. When the AI knows exactly what shape the output should take, it organizes its thinking accordingly and delivers something ready to use. Content constraints define what topics to focus on, what terminology to use, and critically, what to exclude. Telling the AI what not to include is just as important as telling it what to include. It prevents relevance drifting and keeps the response tightly focused on what you actually need. Stylistic constraints define the tone, complexity level, formality, and sentence structure preferences. These are particularly important when the output needs to match an existing voice, a brand, a publication style, or a communication standard your audience expects. Methodological constraints define the analytical approach, frameworks, and reasoning methods the AI should apply. Specifying that the AI should analyze through a specific lens, competitive strategy, behavioral economics, design thinking, shapes not just what it says, but how it arrives at its conclusions. Perspective constraints define whose viewpoints to consider, what considerations to acknowledge, and where to remain neutral. These are especially important for complex topics with multiple legitimate stakeholder positions. Here is a practical constraint template you can adapt for any task. Under Format, specify the structure, length, sections to include, and elements to exclude. Under Content, define the specific focus areas, required elements, topics to avoid, and relevant terminology. Under Style, define the tone, complexity level, sentence structure, and any specific stylistic guidelines. Under Methodology, specify the framework, reasoning approach, and analytical lens. And under Perspective, define whose viewpoints to consider, what to acknowledge, and where to maintain neutrality. Used together, these 5 constraint types create a tightly defined creative and analytical space, and the AI's output improves dramatically as a result. The context window is your AI's working memory, the total amount of information it can hold and process at any one time. Understanding how to manage it is critical for complex, multi-step tasks. Here are the fundamentals. GPT 3.5 has a context window of approximately 4,000 tokens, roughly 3,000 words. GPT-4 ranges from 8,000 to 32,000 tokens, depending on the version. Both your prompt and the AI's previous responses count toward this limit. When the limit is exceeded, the AI loses access to the earliest information in the conversation, which is why long sessions sometimes feel like the AI has forgotten what you told it at the beginning. The solution is strategic information ordering. Structuring your prompt so the most important information always appears where the AI is most likely to retain and prioritize it. The information hierarchy principle gives you the right order. Critical instructions always come first. These are the non-negotiables that must shape every part of the response. Task-specific context comes next. The background information the AI needs to understand the situation it is working within. Examples come third, to calibrate the style, format, or approach you want. Background information comes fourth, additional depth that enriches the response but is not essential to the core task. And previous attempts or refinements come last, relevant if you are iterating on earlier output, but the lowest priority if context becomes strained. There are 4 strategic information ordering techniques that apply this principle in practice. Front-loading means putting your most crucial information at the very beginning of the prompt, where it will be processed first and retained most reliably. Chunking means grouping related information together so the AI processes it as a coherent unit rather than scattered pieces. Signposting means using clear headers for different sections of your prompt, making the structure immediately navigable. And tiered relevance means ordering all your details from most relevant to least relevant. So if any information gets deprioritized due to context limitations, it is the least critical content that gets cut. When context is genuinely limited, on very long documents or complex multi-step tasks, 3 additional strategies help. Summarization first means having the AI summarize long content before analyzing it, compressing the token footprint of background information. Sequential processing means breaking large tasks into sequential steps across multiple prompts, rather than trying to fit everything into one. And reference pointers means using numbered lists in earlier prompts that you can reference by number later, rather than repeating full descriptions. Here is your 3-part practical challenge for this video. For the first part, create a detailed persona for a professional role directly relevant to your work, using the full voice framework. Work through all 5 components: viewpoint, occupation, intelligence, communication, and emphasis, with genuine specificity. Test it with a complex task and compare the quality and distinctiveness of the output against a basic role assignment. For the second part, take a task you regularly use AI for and design a complete constraint system for it. Define format, content, stylistic, methodological, and perspective constraints deliberately. Run it with and without the constraints, and note the difference in focus, relevance, and overall quality. For the third part, design a prompt for a context-heavy task, something that requires significant background information. Apply the information hierarchy principle and the 4 strategic ordering techniques. Test how efficiently the AI processes the information and how well the output reflects what matters most. Let's bring this together. In this video, you learn the 5 components of the voice framework: viewpoint, occupation, intelligence, communication, and emphasis, and how to use them to build AI personas with genuine depth and consistency that go far beyond basic role assignments. You mastered strategic constraint design across 5 constraint types: format, content, stylistic, methodological, and perspective, and understood why the right constraints enhance rather than limit quality. And you now have a complete system for context window optimization, including the information hierarchy principle and 4 strategic ordering techniques that keep your most important information where the AI can always find it. These 3 tools together give you unprecedented control over how the AI thinks, communicates, and prioritizes on every task you give it. In video 9, we scale everything up. You will learn modular prompt architecture, how to build reusable, combinable prompt systems that treat your best prompts like a professional toolkit, saving enormous time and delivering consistent results across every task you face. See you in video 9.